let's move to the Knicks-Heat series. We're going back to the 90s, baby. They each dispatched their higher-seeded opponents in 5 games in the first round. And now one of these teams, either the 5th-seeded Knicks or the 8th-seeded Heat, they're going to be going to the Eastern Conference Finals, which is exciting in a weird way. Game 1 going down this weekend in Madison Square Garden. Jimmy Butler in the Garden. I am pumped about this one maybe just as much as I am about the Suns Nuggets. What's one thing to watch, Tess?
Yeah, I love it. There's 2 kinds of people. People say, oh, the Bucks lost. The NBA sucks. The number 1 teams can't advance. And the other people who say, oh, parity. That's cool. I mean, we've sort of been asking for a long time for the 5, 6, 7, 8 seeds to be able to knock off the good teams. We're getting it. So I think it's great. We're seeing Celtics, Sixers, and then this series, which should be a battle. They both play slow. It is kind of like 90s basketball, but the Knicks were so good defensively against the Cavs. They were really good at taking away Mitchell and forcing the other Cavs to shoot who didn't want to shoot. And the Heat just became this new team in round 1 where they offensively they couldn't miss from 3. So really it's will the Heat be able to keep that up? Just keep up those threes raining down. We'll get into lineups and all that, but just the Knicks, I think Tibbs has got him playing really, really well on that end, and we'll see from there what the Heat can do offensively, because they were one of the worst teams in the league through 82 games. Does that matter? I mean, they just
83 games.
Yeah, 83 games.
83 games in 3 quarters. They need a 14-0 run to get out of the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's a good point.
And now they're on fire here.
They're on fire.
At least they were against the Bucks. Will it continue against the Knicks?
45% from 3. So 1 of every 2, bop, bop. That was easy as that. And they obviously had Jimmy leading them. It was Jimmy and a supporting cast that just came along for an incredible ride. Will that keep up?
What's one thing you're watching?
The Glass.
Oh, yeah.
I'm watching The
Like a
Glass.
sicko.
Oh, you know I love rebounding. There was a Kevon Looney rebounding highlight tape that made its way around the internet yesterday. I got tagged so many times, and I liked every single one of them.
Nice.
So keep it coming. The Hawks dominated the Heat on the glass in their play-in win back when the Miami Heat were a 7th seed. Now they're an 8th seed. The Knicks dominated the Cavs on the offensive glass. The big boys were showing their athleticism. So I'm watching Mitchell Robinson versus Bam Adebayo. I don't think the Heat are going to get bullied the way the Cavs got bullied by the Knicks. I also don't think they're going to be outcoached the way the Cavs were outcoached by the Knicks. I think if this turns into an ugly 90s style basketball series, as if everybody's anticipating it, that's good for the Heat. That's what they want to do.
Yeah.
They're used to it. The Cavs, they weren't used to it.
Yeah.
They got a lot of skinny young guys. The Heat have a bunch of beefy old guys, and I think that is going to be big time for them. They want an ugly series because they think when it comes down to it, it's Jimmy Butler versus Jalen Brunson. Who's going to make more clutch shots? Surely the Heat are comfortable with their guy. And I'm sure the Knicks are too. But Jimmy's Jimmy.
He's on one right now, man. Oh, my God. Jimmy Butler in Madison Square Garden. It's going to be unreal. Oh, yeah. You guys are making great points here. Exciting things to like sort of circle in this one. I think it's telling that, you know, and I'm not saying Randall is anywhere close to Joel Embiid's level when it comes to, like, players in this league. But that series, we're starting with, well, what's the health? What's the status of Embiid? You know, we don't even really care, it feels like, about Julius Randle and his ankle injury and whether he's going to play. And I think my point about that is that's because this Knicks team, at least in that first round series, and really a lot of the times through the regular season, they've shown how deep they are and how talented they are across, like 1 through 8, really, guys coming off the bench and contributing and stuff like that. And so that's a positive for them. Are they going to need Randle in some capacity to possibly beat the Heat? I'm not sure with the way, you know, Mitchell Robinson dominated, Obi Toppin off of the bench, Josh Hart, obviously the work he can do on the boards, Barrett scoring sort of to make up for Randle being out or limited in that series, and then of course Jalen Brunson, the Rock. I wonder, you know, will he play? How important does he need to play? I don't know. It's odd. It's odd that I'm not sure it matters. Is that strange to say?
Well, yeah, they overcame it in round one. So they're better with him off the floor, actually. It was odd because Obi Toppin came in and was awesome. But I think he learned how to just be a part of the team, too. When he just slipped in there well. He didn't overtake anything there in Game 5 to start that game before he went out.
He was playing well, you're right.
I think his size is going to factor into this in terms of the boarding, because I'm looking at that 4 spot for the Heat. They probably start Kevin Love, most likely, and it'll be probably Randall versus him and Mitchell Robinson versus Bam Adebayo. I think the Knicks will have the advantage there in just terms of grabbing boards, and Jalen Brunson's going to hunt out Kevin Love, I think, a lot of the time and try and get him in pick and rolls. And Brunson is probably going to have a really good series. And I know the Heat will do a good job of ganging up, but I'm just buying more into the Knicks supporting cast than the Heat supporting cast that became magic there in round one. Both Tibbs and Spoelstra are just calling on this dude, calling on Cody Zeller. Hey, you're a buyout. Come on in. Kevin Love, you're a buyout. Come on in. And they're awesome. I think the Knicks do have the depth advantage in this one. And at the same time, the Knicks couldn't hit shots either, but they made up for it because they just grabbed so many boards. So
their offense at time was miss a jumper and Mitchell Robinson go get it.
40% of their shots missed were grabbed as offensive boards. That's a lot. That's the most in like 9 years. So they made up for it with second chance points. It's going to be a bumping and a grinding, that's for sure. But Brunson could have a really big series in this one.
X factor for you.
3-point shooting for the Heat, because I'm with you. The Knicks are a deeper team. They've got Quickly who can play, Toppin who can play, and Isaiah Hartenstein who can play. For the Heat, though, it's like Kevin Love or Caleb Martin coming off the bench alongside Duncan Robinson, Kyle Lowry. They got to hit threes. For that to be a reliable bench, for them to negate what the Knicks are surely going to do, they've got to be able to hit threes, because the Knicks are not a good shooting team. No doubt the Heat are going to go zone against them and say, you shot 28% from 3 against the Cavs. Are you going to do it again? Mm-hmm. Can you actually make some shots? Right. I mean, if the Heat aren't hitting threes, if their role players are not hitting threes, they ain't role players, because they're not really giving you anything else out there. But if they're hitting, as we saw against Cleveland, they can stay on the court. Against Milwaukee. But I don't know. Everybody's got to make threes, to be quite honest. It's the new NBA. But the Heat got to do it. Otherwise, they got nothing else out there. They don't got Tyler Hero to put the ball in his hands and get baskets. Bam does it sometimes, but they score a lot of points from 3-point shooting.
Somehow, the Heat's bench was the best bench in round one, despite what they had to overcome during the offseason, or the whole regular season, and Hero out, and Oladipo out. They did it. Caleb Martin came in and was a monster.
Yeah,
he was big game so big. And you could look 5 years ago and say, oh, Lowry, Love. I mean, they have the names, but they were just perfect in round one. Will it continue in round two?
Prediction then. Where are you going?
This is so hard. I got the Knicks. I just feel it was a little too magical for the way the Heat all came together perfectly. And obviously they do have Jimmy. But
he's the ultimate wild card for sure.
Yes, but I think Brunson is better. I think Randall can't be worse, really, as far as his shooting goes. So, this is the weird one where the Heat definitely have the best player in the series. But I'm taking the slightly more complete team. So I'll take the Knicks in 6.
Trey?
I'm going the other way. The Heat have the best player in this series in Jimmy Butler. I think the Knicks drew a favorable first-round matchup, and the things that went their way in round one will not go their way in round two. I also think the Heat have been preparing for this the entire season. How many times did we talk about them playing 5-point games the entire year? Every single Heat game was close, and Jimmy Butler was great in the regular season, finished top 3 in Clutch Player of the Year voting, and he is somehow even better in the playoffs. So I'm going for the Miami Heat in 6 here.
Miami Heat in 6, taking care of business in South Beach, says Trey. All right, it's tough. I'm going to go 7. I'm going to go Knicks in 7 at home. Obviously in Madison Square Garden, if it were to go to that, it's a coin toss to me. I feel very similar to the way I felt about the Cavs-Knicks series, where a lot of us thought it would go longer, and man, that one feels like a coin flip, and in the end I went Cavs, and I was regretting it. Jalen Brunson's the winner. It's going to be tight. It's going to be ugly at times in the best possible way, I think. Especially when you're going to be contrasting it with Suns-Nuggets in that series. There's going to be some low-scoring affairs, but yeah, who are these like peripheral players that have a game in the Garden or in Miami that catch fire for a quarter or two? Kyle Lowry could be, obviously, he's a gamer, and we've seen that before. Quickly can do it, no doubt. Josh Hart, obviously, the impact he's seen. There's going to be like all these guys that are just going to swing this series, like sort of from quarter to quarter, half to half, and ultimately, I think, game to game. And that's what I think always makes the postseason super, super fun. And can Jimmy Butler just stay on this heater? Or is like the defense of the Knicks, the way they played actually in the first round against the Cavs and locked in on Donovan Mitchell, can they slow this guy? I can't wait. I'm pumped about this one.
He's going against his dad, man. Tom Thibodeau.
I know.
Put him on the map.
Oh my God.
Oh, man. Jason Concepcion sent me an incredible clip this week. It was Jeff Teague talking about the practice that Jimmy Butler had when he had all the third teamers, and he showed up and he schooled everybody. Crazy. Like, Tibbs, 100% on Jimmy's side. He had skipped everything. Like, he'd skipped every workout. Jimmy shows up, but Tibbs' hand just starts shaking. He's getting so excited. And then Jimmy completely lights up everybody, and Jeff Teague is like, this is awesome. But then I realized he was talking about the starters, and I was a starter. Jeff Teague was like, I was cheering him on. I don't think to this day Jeff Teague realizes Jimmy was trash-talking him as well.
Yeah, right.
But it was incredible stuff. Those two are, like, locked in with each other. We saw Mike Brown did a great job the first couple of games against Steph Curry, knowing the ins and outs about how to defend him. So I think Tommy will pull some schemes out to make it tough on Jimmy, but Spoelstra's a better coach than Thomas, and Spoelstra always beats Thomas.
That's a good point. Mm-hmm. I love that. I feel like both of these teams will not be rattled by each other.
Yes.
That's what I'm anticipating here, at least. Where in their other series, they got to their other teams. Obviously, the teams that were ranked a little bit higher in the standings than them, and they put their imprint on the series. I think that's going to be like the tug of war here between these squads. That ferocity and obviously like the barking and all that. There's going to be a lot of shit talking. We're going to have so many clips from the 90s. We're going to see Van Gundy hanging off legs and stuff like that. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Okay, I'm going Knicks in 7. You're Knicks in 6. Trey going with Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat in 6. Let's hear from you guys when it comes to your Knicks Heat prediction and something that you're watching.